Hi guys, welcome back to Fast Cheetah. This is me doing a rewrite of Day of Doom. You'll see later. Chapter 34. Fisky lay motionless for a long moment. The pain in his shoulder burned like someone had pierced him with a sword covered with molten lava. That's what it felt like to be shot. He rolled over and rose to his knees, feeling slightly nauseous. He looked up to see everyone staring at him. Nellie gazed grimly at him and touched her own gunshot wound. Regan, the effects of the taser wearing off, stared at him with semi-paralyzed features. Ted could not see him, but apparently could sense what had happened. Fisky, he said, "Are you okay?" Joanne just grunted with the rag stuffed in his mouth. Fisky managed to say, "I'm alright," however he felt far from alright. "For now," said Vesper 1 as he walked into the circle formed by his men. "But not for long," he added, the smoking gun still in his hand. Fisky stared up at him. "You know, for an evil genius type with delusions of grandeur, I really would have pegged you for being a bit longer in the tooth. You look like you're about to go to the prom for the first time. Not that any decent girl would condescend to go with a creepy punk like you." Vesper 1's expression remained unchanged, sarcasm flowing from a defeated throat. "Interesting. I guess if it makes you feel better, go right ahead. You don't want me to really get started. I might never stop." Vesper 1 gazed at him with pity. "Oh, you'll stop precisely when I want you to." He pointed the muzzle of his pistol at the center of Fisky's broad forehead. "You're an unarmed man, hardly sporting of you." "But I'm not sporting. I'm a Vesper. I win any way I can." "Actually, so do the Cahills." This comment had not come from Fisky, it had come from Amy Cahill. The next instant, Vesper 1's minions were being overwhelmed by this infusion of fresh troops. Jake brought down 2 of them all by himself, pounding them until they collapsed into unconsciousness. Hamilton moved through the Vespers like a threshing machine, kicking and punching any of them within reach. One tried to taser him. He grabbed their spice and zapped the man instead. Amy and Dan stood back to back and took on all corners, kicking and punching and biting. When necessary, they managed to subdue a half-dozen Vespers in a matter of minutes. Evan had one Vesper in the headlock when the shot rang out. At first, Evan didn't seem to have noticed that he'd been hit. Then he looked down at his chest and saw the blood flowing from the holes. He fell to the floor. The others were so busy they didn't notice. Ian and Natalie were kicking and punching as they worked their way to the doomsday device. Natalie finally broke through a column of Vespers and ran for it after picking up a large metal ball one of the Vespers had dropped. She swung it back, ready to deliver a crushing blow to the huge missing. Ian watched in admiration until he noticed the blue sparks spewing from the base of the device. Natalie knows she did heal him. She swung the pole and didn't hit her target squarely in the middle, did no damage to her. The device stood there momentarily frozen as electrical current built up in the device swept through itself. Ian watched with admiration for his sister. He didn't know what to do. He couldn't exactly know what just happened. Then the source of power from the doomsday device eased and the metal ball flew away. Natalie went away from it and it didn't happen. Yes, screamed Ian as he fought his way to his sister. He knelt next to her. Her eyes were open. He felt for a pulse. There was one. He started performing CPR. He pumped and pumped her chest, trying to restart her heart. He kept checking her pulse. Finally, he sat back, exhausted. He stared down at his sister. The truth was that she was alive, but no one could tell. Natalie Capra was hooked. As the fighting continued all around them, Ian sat there on his haunches, overcome with anguish. He had just become reunited with his sister, and now he had seemingly lost her. He couldn't quite understand that she would not be seemingly dead. How could she be seemingly dead? She was always so much alive in everything she did. Ian had so looked forward to growing up with her. They were all each other, had all the family left of the Capras. He reached down and touched her cheek. It was still warm. He touched her hand. It felt so hurt. But instead of pulling away, Ian gripped it more tightly as though his warmth could bring her supposedly back. But of course it can. The dead could come back. The laughter reached Ian's ears a moment later. Little did they know. The person laughing. He looked over and saw Vesper One in the far corner. He held up a device that looked like a remote. A shocking experience for itself, wouldn't you say, Ian? Crowed Vesper One, and raised. Oh, happy Ian slowly rose, smashed his way through two Vespers, and charged straight at Vesper One. You die right now, yelled Ian. He had never truly imagined killing anyone until right this instant. Now he could not exist another second while this man lived. So many have said, and yet here I am, taunted Vesper One. In another moment he was gone. Ian couldn't believe his eyes. He looked around everywhere. How had he disappeared? Amy came running over to him. Check her, Ian. The tears in her eyes matched the one in his. She had obviously seen Natalie's body. Ian panted, I will get him if it's the last thing I do. I will get him. We'll get him, Ian, all of us who are left here, mended bitterly, staring over at his paralyzed sister. They turned back to the fight. That's when Amy saw him, Evan on the floor, blood flowing out of his chest. No, screamed Amy. She ran toward Evan, flooring a Vesper with a kick to the head as he zipped past. She reached Evan and knelt next to him. His eyes were closed. She felt for a pulse. It was low, but just a trickle. Evan, can you hear me? He opened his eyes, managed to smile. Boy, this sucks, right? He laughed feebly. All Amy could do was let the tears slide down her face. She took off her sweater, balled it up, and placed it over his wound. You're going to be fine, Evan, I swear. Amy, look out, screamed Dan. Amy ducked, and the sword missed her by an inch. The Vesper holding it reeled back to try again, but he had picked the wrong time to try to kill her. Amy lashed out with a tremendous kick, and the man toppled to the floor. As he turned back to Evan, she heard a little gasp. She looked down at him. His eyes were open, but they were no longer seeing him. His arms slid off his chest and lay limp next to him. Amy took one long, shuddering breath and closed Evan's eyes. Then she rose, turned, and plunged back into the fight, but there was only one person she wanted to destroy. Vesper One, and she would or die trying. Whatever happened, one of them would not see the sunrise ever again. When everything after that is the same, but Natalie's alive. Bye!